Okay, this is Unit 4, Lesson 2. This is talking about parallel lines cut by a transversal. So this is going to pick up a lot of from where we were talking about in Lesson 1. Okay? So here's what we got. First thing we got is some definitions, and it says if two parallel lines, in this case line A and B, are cut by a transversal C, then the following theorems apply. Okay? Alternate interior angles, which are these angles right here, like 8 and 2 and 5 and 3, they have to be congruent. Okay? And once again, when we're talking about theorems, then what this means is this is just like a postulate, except that we're capable of proving this. Okay? All right, so let's look at the next one. The next one theorem says that alternate exterior angles are congruent, so they're talking about 1 and 7, 4 and 6. Okay? That means that they have exactly equal measures. Okay? And then we have a postulate that talks about the corresponding angles like 6 and 2, 1 and 5, 7 and 3, and 4 and 8, which are listed down here. Okay? Those also have to be equal. All right? That leads us to, well, go back to this. That leads us to this in example 1. They're telling us that C and B are parallel lines, and they want you to specify each angle pair that they ask you about as to whether they are congruent or supplementary. You justify your answers by naming the theorem or the postulate that applies. So angle 1 and angle 3, these angles are directly across the vertex from each other, so they're called vertical angles. So by the vertical angle theorem, we know that these have to be congruent. Okay, example 2 is angle 2 and angle 7. In this case, they are what? They are alternate exterior angles, and by the theorem that we just talked about at the beginning, they have to be congruent also. Okay, example 3 is asking about angle 6 and angle 1. Okay, these are exterior angles. They're on opposite sides of the transversal, so they are congruent by the alternate exterior angle theorem. Example 4 is talking about angle 8 and angle 3. Okay, these are interior to the two parallel lines, and they're on opposite sides of the transversal, so they're alternate interior angles, and therefore they are congruent. Okay, example 5. It's got angle 5 and angle 7. These two are right here, so they're across the vertex from each other, so by vertical angles, they are congruent. Okay, angle 6 and angle 7. These two are adjacent angles, and they're at the intersection of two lines, so that means they have to be supplementary. Okay, because they are a linear pair. Okay, example 7 is talking about angle 5 and angle 2. These two right here. The relationship they have is called corresponding angles, and we were told that by postulate that the corresponding angles have to be congruent when there's parallel lines involved. Okay, example 8 is talking about angles 2 and 3. Once again, they're adjacent angles, and they're at the intersection, so they are a linear pair. So by the fact that they are a linear pair means that they have to be supplementary. It means they add to 180 degrees to make this straight line. Okay, angle 3 and angle 8 is right here. Once again, they're across the transversal, so this makes them alternate, and they're in the inside of the parallel line, so they are alternate interior angles, and therefore they are congruent. Okay, so in this one, they're telling us that the measure of angle 6 is equal to 130 degrees. They want us to find the measure of angle 4. Okay, so here's what we do. It's 130 degrees because angle 6 and angle 4 are the same by alternate exterior angles. Okay, angle 3, they're telling us measures to be 60 degrees. So this one right here is 60. They want us to find the measure of angle 2. Since these are adjacent angles and they are at an intersection, then that means that they are supplementary. So we simply take the 60, subtract from 180, which is what we're going to do right here on the next step. And that gives us that the measure of angle 2 is equal to 180 minus 60, which is 120 degrees. Okay, example 13 says that the measure of angle 1 is 33 degrees. They want us to find the measure of angle 5. Since they're in a corresponding angle relationship, then this means that angle 5 has to be the same by the corresponding angle postulate. So it is 33 degrees. Example 14 says that the measure of angle 2 is 135. They want us to find the measure of angle 7. Okay, so this one's going to take a little bit more work because what we've got to do here is angle 2 is equal to angle 6 because they are corresponding angles. So we know that angle 6 is 135 degrees. So we also know that 6 and 7 are adjacent angles at an intersection, so that means that they come up to 180 degrees. So we substitute the 135 in for angle 6, subtract the 135 from both sides, which gives us that the measure of angle 7 is 45 degrees. Okay, then we come to example 15. If the measure of angle 3 is equal to 2x plus 2, and the measure of angle 5 is equal to 6x minus 118, what is the value of x? And what is the measure of angle 3? Okay, so here's the thing. These two angles right here are the same, but these two angles are the same, so that means that these two angles actually add up to 180 degrees. Okay? By alternate interior angles, we know that angle 3 is the same as angle 5, and that angle 2 and angle 3 are linear pair, so they add up to 180. So we can solve this by doing this. Okay? This is what they're doing here. They're going to substitute angle 3 for angle 5. Okay? So 2x plus 2 equals 6x minus 118. Okay, so what we have here is 2x minus 6x equals negative 118 minus 2. All they did is they subtracted the 6 from both sides and subtracted this 2 from both sides. So that leads us to this, which tells us that negative 4x equals negative 120. Divide both sides by negative 4 gives us that x is equal to 30. Okay? So to get the measure of angle 3, what we have to do is we have to take this 30, put it back into the 2x plus 2 and find out what we get. So 2 times 30 plus 2 is equal to 62 degrees. Okay, that completes this subject, our standard. So what we need to do at this point is you need to gather any questions you have and be sure to put them on the parking lot. And I will be giving you 3 questions in class tomorrow. Thank you very much. Goodbye. See you tomorrow.